Welcome to Fourth and Fantasy. Week 4 was pure chaos from unbelievable blow-ups to frustrating usage and critical injuries. We're live tonight to cut through the noise, analyze performances, and prepare your team for the week ahead. Let's hit the fantasy film and get to the recap.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, I don't follow no script. I make my own lane. Got a spreadsheet mind and a red rat brain. Dynasty beats got that tape in my veins. While they drafting by names, I'm exposing their game. No cap. We study the craft like film room rats. Gyms in the fourth while they stuck in the past. It's levels to the dynasty keep or flex. From rookies to pros, we demand and respect. That's real. And I ain't never need clout for my clout to show. Just a mic I take and a team I grow. This ain't just picks, it's principle G. It's fourth and fantasy where you build your legacy. We 10 toes down, yeah, we stand.
And we are back at it with another episode of Fourth and Fantasy. I am Hancho, and this is my guy.
Siriaco, call me Rocco.
And like I said, week 4 is basically under wraps, wrapping up Monday night. And if you didn't know, we're your fantasy playbook to more championship wins, and also where we the land of Rocco.
We are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos, by Dynasty Sickos. Everybody's welcome for the week 4 recap.
And let's talk about this recap. We saw some familiar names make noise. We saw some unfamiliar names make some noise. Guys that were on the waivers, and if you're playing Yahoo or ESPN, that you could have picked up freely with some injuries that happened that honestly at this point, it just screams 2025 fantasy football season, and you're just going to have to pivot. Let's get and look at these quarterbacks real quick. And how we're going to be doing this, we're going to talk about our winners, our losers, and then some of the injuries that could be revolved around the position. Now, my winners for week 4, and I'm happy to say, as QB1, Mr. Dak Prescott, come on down, which was against the Green Bay Packers. He had 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 319 passing yards, 77.5 completion rate to go with the tie. I hate ties. Honestly, I didn't even know you could tie. I thought it was going to go into double overtime. Made me sick to my stomach, to be honest with you. But it was a good performance from both sides. Dak Prescott showed why he's one of the better quarterbacks in this league. And I think, honestly, we should have won the game just off of his performance. QB2 and one of my winners. I kind of just went down the list for my winners. They did pretty well. QB2 from week 4, Matthew Stafford against the Indianapolis Colts, where he had 3 passing touchdowns, 375 passing yards, to go along with 70.7 completion percentage. I really like what we saw from Matthew Stafford. Puka continues to keep being a dog this year, so we get a sprinkles of Devontae Adams as well. The Rams offense always feels like it's sneaky, and I think with them and overall what the Rams do, if injuries stay where they need to stay, I think it's going to be really good for them. Good evening, Shroom. Hope you're doing good, my guy. Happy Wednesday to you. I kept forgetting. To me, I keep forgetting today that it is Wednesday. I'd be thinking that it's Thursday at times. But looking forward to tomorrow and recapping week 4. Glad you can join us, my guy. My QB4, or what QB4 of week 4, was Jordan Love, obviously, going against the Dallas Cowboys. Tore that thing up. 3 passing touchdowns, 337 passing yards, and 72.1 completion percentage. Our boy, Bo Nix, QB5, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing, 326 passing yards, 69.1 completion percentage. And then I like to throw in an honorable mention, is Justin Fields, QB6, 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, 226 passing yards, 81 rushing yards, and 74.1 completion percentage. There was some really good quarterback play. All right. And out of those games, I'd love to see what we saw from Justin Fields coming back from having a concussion. Yes, it didn't always look good. It didn't look sexy. I still think they need another guy in that offense. Garrett Wilson is doing what he needs to do or what he can. What I did like, which was interesting, was how more involved Mason Taylor got in touch with the passing game. It looked like Justin Fields was targeting him, and he was moving the change for them. So that, not to say that he's going to just break out now, but I did like what I saw from Mason Taylor in Week 4. Out of the quarterbacks, who did you like?
Um, funny enough, who was the number one rated quarterback in week 4,
Hmm.
according to PFF? You'll never guess.
It had
Not in
to
a
be.
thousand years, you'll never guess.
I would probably have to go.
A guy that basically got blown out by a team that got shut out last week. That would be Marcus Mariota with a
Huh? Look at that.
89, 89 grade according to PFF. That's why you got to take some of this shit with a grain of salt. I mean, less than 60% completion percentage. I'm not sure what they were seeing. Um, but I got to say, I think the guy that was impressed me, um, who really impressed me actually?
Hmm.
I shouldn't be impressed at this point. Um, this guy's the goat in the entire NFL in real life, but he's been kind of lame the last couple of years because their defense has been so good, and they for some reason play these mush mush mouth games that just like kind of just don't really go anywhere and they're very low scoring. Patrick Mahomes has quietly put together a really nice little fantasy season, highlighted by last week's obliteration of the Baltimore Ravens, where he went 25, 37, 270 yards, 7 yards per attempt, and was just like in total control of the game through four scores, and pretty much put Baltimore on notice that a team that we thought coming into the season was going to be a pretty good team on paper. They don't look like
Defensively,
any
yeah,
weaknesses. Offensively too. I mean, they got
yeah, offensive.
down all the way around, but Patrick Mahomes basically outclassed Lamar in that game and showed that he has always been the better quarterback. And I'm a Lamar stan. Like, don't get me wrong, but when it comes down to like winning and winning big, it's hard to bet against Mahomes. But he's having a comeback sort of fantasy season. He's done a lot of work with his legs, and to the fact that he's doing this with Juju Smith-Schuster, old ass Travis Kelsey, Tyquan Thornton, who flamed out of New England, like most of the receivers do. They just got Royals back, but they're not really using him in the offense. Like a Noah Gray's making plays for him. It's a
Hmm.
bunch of no-name guys, but he's quietly having a good season. It just makes you think, how good could this offense be once Rashee Rice comes back in Week 7? So, I kind of poo-pooed. I would never talk bad about Mahomes in real life because I think he's on pace to be the GOAT. But his fantasy seasons have been kind of low end QB1, QB2. I think last season, high end QB2 last season. So for him to kind of come back, and I don't have it in front of me where he ranks right now, but I know the teams that I have him on are doing a lot better than they've done in the last couple of years. Shout out to him for putting up numbers with just scrubs everywhere. I mean, he has, no running game, and he's got, the carcass of Juju Smith-Schuster, essentially him or Tyquan Thornton as his top weapon. So, it's just kind of crazy that he's having a bit of a comeback season so far.
Yeah, with Patrick Mahomes, and to point out, he was QB3. He's putting together what he needs to do, and if he doesn't, then the Chiefs would be absolutely fucked going forward. But what with Patrick Mahomes and hopefully with Rasheed Rice, things start to go upward. Maybe they do make a trade for a wide receiver by a trade deadline. Tyreek Hill was definitely one of my favorites for to get back to the Chiefs. That kind of changed over the weekend, but shout out to Patrick
Woo.
Mahomes for getting back into that top five ish of QBs. Looking at the losers, and there were a couple. There were more than a few, actually, that I would like to speak on. Looking at Joe Flacco, who just got benched out the way. He's no longer the starting quarterback for the Cleveland
Thank,
Browns
thank you, God.
after going against the Detroit Lions, taking an L. That is zero touchdowns, 184 passing yards, and a disgusting 47.1 completion rate. Ill basura, nasty word, right?
Basura.
Basura. I don't like it. And then hate to throw him on here, but Cam Ward, not because it's his fault, but just because that overall offense isn't going how they would want it to. And there's a reason why Brian Callahan, or no,
Woof.
I think this Bill. I feel like it's Brian Callahan or Bill Callahan. I think it's Brian Callahan.
Whoever he is, he about to get
Callahan.
fired.
At last
Because,
hand, he doesn't have too many days. I
yeah,
promise you.
yeah, you're going to allow Cam Ward to throw for 38% completion percentage. Like, I don't know. Like, at a certain point, at a certain point, you become busted. Like, that's worse than like Anthony Richardson numbers. And we know how, people around the league talk about him. Cam Ward needs to get his act together because, under 40% completion percentage, not good, my man.
Yeah.
So hopefully the coach gets fired and they change something there because Cam Ward has looked atrocious so far.
And to what Crispy, shout out Crispy for joining us. He says
What's
Flacco has 10 touchdowns and 25 picks or some shit in the past 15 games. You were totally correct. And I don't. Oh, he also said in capitals, busted. It
I'm
is,
telling you, I'm telling you, Flacco's little mini comeback in 2023, where he was getting Njoku looking like the stud that he is. That's doing a lot of heavy lifting for the last 2 years of Flacco because he has been god awful in the last couple years. And
and
what's funny is somebody tried to trade me. Oh fuck, I don't know. It was a good player, and they were trying to trade me like Mac Jones for like a starter at flex, and I was like, nah, bro, I'm good. And he was like, what about if it was Joe Flacco? What?
I mean, hey, yeah, it's
What? I don't
sometimes,
even want to pick up Joe Flacco for free off of the waiver wire.
yeah,
I
sometimes,
know where that was going.
yeah, Joe Flacco sometimes it's almost like Jameis Winston. He can give you a really high performance game, and then he can look like absolutely dog shit. So it's
Jameis Winston is more fun than Flacco at this point because he throws interceptions, but he also throw them YOLO balls. I mean, he's the only man that could get Jerry Judy to 1,200 yards. That's for sure.
I hope with the change, and honestly, I don't really have much because with Dylan Gabriel, I think Shador Sanders is a better quarterback, but with politics and how they went about it, I understand why they had to because they don't want to seem like, hey, we're complete idiots, which we
I,
all know they are.
I thought you would be a Gabriel fan with your fellow short kings.
Nah, man, gotta go with gotta follow what the talent is. I have way more, but I have way more Shador Sanders than I have of Dylan Gabriel.
I
So
got one what if share of Gabriel. We'll see what happens.
and
I
then
don't have a lot of faith in it.
on my last loser, just because he's making his wide receiver core look damn near horrible. Jake Browning, zero touchdowns, 125 passing yards, and 56 completion percentage versus the Denver Broncos. Yes, a tough component, a tough opponent, a tough matchup. Nevertheless, I didn't expect for him to go out and just start throwing dimes on people. But
Mhm.
man, it has not looked good for the overall Cincinnati Bengals offense after Joe Burrow went down. I don't know honestly if with Jake Browning, there's much better you can get. If Cincinnati wasn't already looking for a quarterback, I don't know what they're doing at this point because you're setting yourself up for failure. You just gave Jamar Chase one of the highest contracts ever. You gave Higgins some good money for a wide receiver too. You would think, and you if you want, if you still consider yourself as playoff contenders, you would try to make a move today to go get yourself a Jameis Winston. Hell, maybe even a Russell Wilson, maybe even a Kirk Cousins. You never know. How do you feel about and actually, who are your losers, and how do you feel about the overall Cincinnati Bengals QB
Uh,
situation?
I got a couple losers for you. Um, this guy was the MVP through, I want to say, 2 games, maybe 2.5 games.
Mhm.
Maybe even, probably even the MVP after 3 games. Started off 3-0, looked amazing. Was surprisingly, this team went from what was thought to be a run heavy team to actually a pass always team. As they incorporated their rookie. But Justin Herbert was a bit of a loser this past week. Lost to the Giants, undefeated Chargers, lost to the winless Giants, who actually lost their best player, in the middle of that game and still found a way to lose. But Justin Herbert's a loser because he lost Joe Alt after previously losing Rashawn Slater in the offseason. So he's lost both of his bookend tackles. And you can tell because he's getting harassed all over the place. And that was a big reason that he had a sub 60% completion percentage, 1 touchdown and 2 interception, and lost to one of the worst teams, to a rookie quarterback who gave that team a lot of life. I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why they didn't fucking start that guy from week one. Russell Wilson was not the answer, man. He he put new life into that team, and he didn't really show on the stat sheet because he didn't pass that much. I mean, the guy lost his all-world receiver pretty early in that game,
Yeah,
but he gave that team more spunk, more spark
some fun.
than they've had in years. Like I can't remember that team maybe since the Manning, the Eli Manning era has that team had any kind of spunk to it. So that was pretty cool seeing him come out there and really kind of show out, and have I don't know. Dart has like an aura to him. Like some guys you see him get on the field and they have like a little bit of it factor, and he's got that in spades. He's out there talking about, he's hollering at Justin Herbert's girlfriend, on the sideline. I'm like, bro, this dude's out there. Like, this dude's crazy. But yeah, he made Justin Herbert into a little bit of a loser. The other guy, one of your fellow short kings, who once again starts the season slow. I believe they're 1-3. I want to say blew out the Falcons last week. The Falcons must have went to the strip club before the game last week because they got shut out by the Pandas. But Bryce Young has not looked great to start this season. His connection with Ted Teroa McMillan's broken.
Yeah.
Maybe they can step it up when Coker gets back because outside of Ted Teroa McMillan, some of those weapons are pretty trash. No offense to those trash bag guys they got there, but yeah, he has not looked good so far. And actually, Andy Dalton got into the game. So is that what they have to do every year? They need to get Andy Dalton there for a couple games for Bryce Young to be like, no, no, that's my job. Like, come on, get out there and play some ball, bro.
Yeah, but Bryce Young, and I was just checking out, looking up. So week one, he was QB 25. Week two, QB 8. Week three, QB 27, and then week four, QB 29.
Not
Nevertheless,
good.
and he only has had one 300 passing yard game. Not good, and but overall, the Panthers' offense hasn't looked good to begin with. Yes, we have T Mac, but like, what is the other guys are supposed to be doing? Chuba Hubbard's been banged up too. We'll get into his injury, a little bit later in the show. But it's T Mac. Xavier Leggett hasn't been the wide receiver that they wanted.
No, he's trash. He's not good at
Jatavian
football.
Sanders has been, I believe last week he was hurt. If Trimble showed up, so that was cool. But they're missing another dominant wide receiver to help T Mac to take. the pressure off of Bryce Young. He's not at the stage where you can have Bryce Young being the reason why you win a game, right? You need a good supporting cast around him to really get.
Hello. Oh, oh, we have lost Huncho.
And I'm
There he
back.
is.
All right. I don't know. I do not know what happened there,
you,
but
the internet canceled you because
I'm
you were
telling.
defending Bryce Young.
I'm telling you, man. I don't know what. I don't know.
They were like, man, he lost his mind.
I
No,
don't
I'm
know what's
just
going on here,
no, I'm
but
just joking. I'll give him a little grace because he doesn't have the weapons.
mm,
Um, but still, like what is he? 3 years in, 4 years in.
going on. He's going
This is
on.
third. This is his
This
third
is fourth year.
year.
It's yeah, third year.
This is his third year. I expect to see an upward trajectory, not this plateauing. And I know not everybody has, that straight line arrow to success, but getting a little worried about him. I'm just going to say I'm getting a little worried about him. 154 yards or less in 3 out of 4 games. It's getting scary out there.
And before we go to the running backs, remember to like, share, and subscribe as we recap week 4 of the NFL fantasy football season. Looking at these running backs, and I'm glad to put this guy on the winners column because I feel like people were automatically starting to just jump off the bandwagon, if you will, just because off of a few or a couple tough week 2 or weeks type of season, or sorry, type of weeks. And that's coming from Ashton Genty versus the Chicago Bears. Yes, they did lose, but and we got peak or return of his Michael Myers stance from college. He went for 138 rushing yards, 17 receiving yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns, so 3 total, and had 6.6 yards per carry, looking like the dominant factor that we saw out of college. And who would have thought maybe they just blocked a little bit better? Genty would look like the dog he was. And I'm trying to remember the trade I did saw about a week ago where someone just traded Ashton Genty away for some chips and salsa, where you had to pick Genty, which was for everybody the 1-on-1. There was no way year 1 Genty was leaving my squads. Just didn't make sense of where you had to go, where you selected him, and then you wasn't going to get your return of investment now.
That's why I don't sell low because
Exactly.
you fucked yourself.
So Ashton Genty finished as RB1. We love to see it here at Fourth and Fantasy because we none of us sold. We just waited. RB3. I skipped RB2 because I wanted to talk directly of RB3 because nobody would have thought this would have been RB3 going into the week. Kenneth Gainwell versus the Minnesota Vikings. They did win, and he had 99 rushing yards, 35 receiving yards to go with 2 tutties. I didn't personally see this coming. And Kenneth Gainwell, if you're on Yahoo or ESPN, was on waivers. He very much was free 99, free money. And he
Free money.
got you 20 plus points. That is hurtful. And one of my Yahoo leagues, I picked up Ramondre Stevenson over Kenneth Gainwell just because of, well, I'm trying to remember his name. Jalen
Basura.
Basuda, Jalen Warren was ruled a late scratch of the game, very, very late. So we have to see what's the news around him is this week going into week 5. Caleb Johnson also got some touches. He went for 6 rushes for 22 yards, which is not bad actually, but just not volume that we want to see. Seems like they
They don't
really like
trust him for
him.
some reason.
Hey, when you mess up on, I guess, the kickoffs, they throw you in the wheelhouse, and never, even though you never did that in college. But hey, we got to see what Arthur Smith goes for. I don't really know what to expect from that running back rotation of how they do their guys. But if they got Kenneth Gainwell getting touches over Caleb Johnson, their 3rd round pick, that's how much you can say about him in year
My,
1.
my advice: don't sell.
Don't sell.
Don't sell. That 3rd round pick that you might get from somebody that's gonna try to buy low, that's shit. Yeah, I could get 3rd round pick no problem with players with half his pedigree. Don't sell for that third. Let him just ride on your at the end of your bench and see. because not every rookie running back comes out the gate firing. People forget one of the best running backs in the entire league, the number one running back, depending on your scoring in 2025. Jonathan Taylor didn't come straight out the gate firing. Another guy who is very similar to Jonathan Taylor didn't come out kicking ass right out the gate. It took him a couple years actually, and people that dropped him feel pretty stupid because that guy is Derrick Henry, and he broke fantasy football for over a decade. So um, I would hold, see what happens. Um, if it doesn't happen by the end of the year, you may have to make some business decisions. But I would hold him for the whole year and see what happens because the second half of the year, he may get onto the field, and if he gets on the field and gets touches, he will produce. And my guy, Huncho, has left.
It keeps doing that, bro. And I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with that. It's quite annoying, to be honest with you. I got to figure out connection wise. But well, yes, for looking at these other guys, like the RB5 of the week, Omarion Hampton, and this one's a little bit hurt. I've only sold one share of his so far for Josh Jacobs, and I'm forgetting the other piece that was. But Omarion Hampton against I picked the wrong people's, but he had 128 rushing yards, 37 receiving yards, one rushing touchdown, 10.7 yards per carry. Woo, boy, was he hauling ass. When I say
So Marion Hampton, before my guy lost the stream, Marion Hampton had 128 yards on the day. But the beautiful thing about Marion Hampton is he was, looks like he was third in elusive rating, 166, because nobody could touch him. Yeah, sorry, I was just kind of going over some of the goodness that Amarion Hampton put on display
goodness
uh,
graciousness,
this past Sunday, and man, is that guy ramping up? He went from, you know, people were selling low as they are wont to do on their elite assets, and they're pretty pissed at themselves today because back to back games he has kind of killed the
he's
last
done
couple
that thing.
games.
He's done that thing. Another person I wanted to spotlight as a winner, Woody Marks, come on down, Mr. RB8 himself versus the Houston. I keep doing that, yo. I keep putting the team that actually on, but he went 69 rushing, and nothing he did actually that was spectacular, through the running game. But he did have over 100 all-purpose yards, 69 rushing yards, 50 receiving yards, one rushing touchdown, and one receiving touchdown. He got an overall 21 touches, and it looks like he's starting to eat into Nick Chubb's total shares as well, who at certain times he looks pretty cool, but a lot of the times he kind of just looks like he's still trying to return from a knee injury. But if you want explosiveness, if you want upside, Woody Marks looks like a guy that you should be targeting right now. And I honestly would be okay with shooting over a third. Some people might just want a second now. I mean, if you honestly
You
don't care
ain't
about
getting
that
him for a
second though,
third. I
yeah,
promise you. There's no world where you would get him for a third. You might have got him for a third a couple weeks ago before he broke out, but you're gonna have to give up that second if you want him, and that even that might not get it done. I think most people are gonna hold and wait to see, but thirds,
no.
I shit on thirds.
Yeah, right now, I've have a current offer sent out for Woody Marks. That's because I'm looking for a little bit of running back help, and I sent out a what's looking like a projected late second, mid to late second on the later end. Hopefully, the trade hasn't been accepted, but it also hasn't been declined either. So we're waiting to
They,
see what
they
actually
didn't tell
happens
you to
with
go to
that.
hell yet.
Not yet, what I'm saying. So stay tuned as we see if I get told to go to hell for sure, for sure. And then my last winner, which I am so also absolutely so glad to speak about as well, not because he tore it up, but I was just waiting to see some type of decent game from him or some type of usage. And I think what we saw from him this past week should be how he used for the rest of the season. RB13, RJ Harvey. went for 58 rushing yards, 40 receiving yards, one reception, TD, and 18 total touches. And he saw a season high 41% of the snaps in the offense. We absolutely love to see that. I think with RJ Harvey, he might not beat out J.K. Dobbins this year for those rushing for that rushing production or rushing type of opportunities, but receiving game, I believe he received 5 targets. I would very much enjoy Harvey getting that early rookie Kamara type, production where they just pass the ball to him, try to get him out in space, and hopefully he can take one to the house. When I needed going into my $50 league, I needed a total of 4 points to win the week, just four. So I
Hmm.
had RJ Harvey going into the week in my starting lineup. One, I've been trying to deal with CeeDee Lamb being out and some other guys. So where you gotta make what you have. So ended up throwing RJ Harvey in there. Also have Darren Waller. And before RJ Harvey started to get some points, Darren Waller's over here catching passing touchdowns. And I'm just like, this is what going to cause me to lose the week. I am fucked. Then RJ Harvey started getting used into the offense, and we're back into it. This is what I need to see, Sean Payton. And it seems like the offense started to catch a little bit of momentum when you started getting him more involved in the passing game. Need to see that more from RJ Harvey. Sean Payton, don't let me down, my G, because my team is handling that. But what did you like from RJ Harvey in week 4, Rocco?
I like that he's getting closer and closer to the Alvin Kamara role. Um, they were just, I think they were just basically inches from having a long touchdown down the field, and that was pretty cool to see.
Mm,
But it doesn't seem like he's actually working in a lot more.
yeah,
I mean, he was in there early in the game, which I was surprised to see. Not sure if he's been worked in that early in some of the previous games, but that was interesting to see that he was in there so early.
yeah, agreed.
That shows that Coach Sean Payton trusts him more and more. Because at a certain point, he was in there so much on so many early downs, or I mean, early in the game, that I was like, "Is J.K. Dobbins hurt? Like, is he not there?" And then he came back, and I was like, "Whew," because
Mm,
when you don't see J.K. Dobbins out there for too many snaps, you're like, fuck, what happened? Is
mm,
he in the blue tent? No, but he was healthy. So that was really cool to see him get out there because I know uh, a big detriment, a big downside to his game that people have seen him from the preseason is him wanting to bounce everything.
mm,
But I saw him attack the hole and take what was given on certain possessions, and he's so explosive through the hole. If he just makes up his mind to kind of see it and take what's given by the defense, he's gone 8 yards before somebody even gets their hands on him. So that was real cool to see him get more into the offense, to scheme some stuff downfield. That's fucking sexy.
mm,
Um, yeah, so that was cool to see, and I think that the Denver offense is close. They're not firing on all cylinders yet, but they are close. They are close to like really being a explosive offense because you can see they got a lot of parts. They're figuring out everybody's specific roles. But Coach Sean Payton is so good at just scheming guys into space. You see it with Marvin Mims, who might not be, a fantastic play on a lot of teams in the league, but they find good roles for him. They get him in space, and man, he takes it to the house. At least every other game it seems like. So that's a team on the rise that I would want to invest in. But besides him, the other guy that I enjoyed, and I'm not being a homer here, but Kendre Miller had a game this past Sunday against the Buffalo Bills, 65 yards on 11 attempts, near 6 yards a carry. He had a really nice touchdown run. So I
okay.
think I think as we go along, we're going to see more of a 1-2 punch between him and Alvin Kamara because AK his strong suit is not running up the middle and getting those yards in between the lines. He's good at the explosive, the pass catching which they're not throwing to him. That kind of pisses me off. We talked about this on the past podcast, and they're still not doing it. But Kendre Miller is a sneaky ad if he's out there because he was always an explosive athlete. He looks like he should be an awesome running back with his size, speed, and explosiveness.
Mhm.
But he's been hurt most of the first couple years of his career, and he would get hurt, and he would go in Coach Dennis Allen's doghouse, and we would never see him for the rest of the season. This he has a clean slate with a new coach, and it looks like they're using him. So to see him producing early in the season like this, it's a very encouraging sign. So he's a guy that I would want to keep tabs on.
And let's get to these losers, right? Because the fact that I keep having, or I get to keep saying this guy's name, which means I get to keep saying "I told you so," and you should have listened to Huncho. RB 36 of the week, Chase Brown went for 40 rushing yards, 31 receiving yards, for a total of 13 touches, 3.6 yards per carry, and only a 42% snap share. Gross, disgusting, ill. And you would think that due to not having your quarterback, you would be more involved in the whole offense. No, that's not how it went. Chase Brown is so inefficient right now. It's quite crazy of anybody that spoke on him being at RB1 in 2025. I think people even went into the lengths of he could be the RB1 in 2025 with his offense. I never saw that. There was way too much money in the wide receiver core. Chase Brown was always going to be just a supplement part of that
Mm-hmm.
offense. Now you throw into it that he's not even an efficient now. I need to see more Taj Brooks going forward. And that's not to say give away Chase Brown's snaps or he shouldn't get the ball because he's still explosive. I still think he in moderations, Chase Brown can really give you a solid piece in the offense. But Taj Brooks needs to be your guy going forward, your inside guy, your in between the tackles guy,
Mm-hmm.
getting those carries, your
Yeah.
volume type of guy to keep Chase Brown very explosive and fresh throughout the game. Just don't like what's I didn't like Chase Brown going into the season, and I very much don't like his ass now. So toss him back in the backwood. Another guy that hurts my soul to even just speak on, but with the overall game of this rookie is going to be make it even harder for him to keep saying the type of volume that he was saying in the first 2 weeks. Nick Chubb was RB 42, 47 rushing yards, 15 receiving yards, 15 touches, 3.6. Oh, I messed up. Chase Brown had 4 yards per carry. Nick Chubb had a 3.6 yards per carry and a 42% snap share, while Chase Brown had a 73% snap share. But Nick Chubb is starting each week to lose touches to Woody Marks. It's getting very
It's
dangerous.
fucking washed. I mean, we could just be. I mean, we're all adults here. I mean, maybe they have some kids online. That heard that. About that meth show, but
Mhm.
he's fucking washed. I mean, like let's be honest. I mean, he had a devastating injury, much like Tyreek Hill just had, and it's hard to come back from that. And he's done it multiple times in his career, but now he's pushing 30. So you know, he's done. I mean, you can stick a fork in him.
Yeah, I don't think I can't say he's done yet because we said the
He's
same. Well,
washed.
they're little. He's older than Javante, but people said the same thing about Javante, and now look what Javante is doing.
Javante's still like what 26.
Yeah, he's 20, and then I said there's a few years difference,
He
but
doesn't have any miles on him either. So like he had the runway to come back because I mean, Chubb's been in the league for many years. I mean, I would say at least almost a decade. So he's got a lot of miles on those legs, and he's had multiple injuries multiple catastrophic injuries. And I know we throw around the word washed a lot. That somebody's washed this week and then they're not washed next week. I mean, we're calling Hawk washed a few weeks ago and then he comes back. I think it's more of a role thing with certain guys, but I mean, he just doesn't have that explosiveness,
Hmm.
that movement ability that we grown accustomed to seeing from Nick Chubb. His lateral agility. He's just back there and he can't like avoid guys. He's just trying to find whatever crease they can create for him and pushing forward for that 1.5 2 yards, and it's just not sexy.
Yeah, and I to end it off, the losers, and to even throw him on this is kind of crazy because he started the season so hot where you thought he was about to go crazy in 2025. Derrick Henry, where you at, my boy? Where you been these last couple of weeks? RB 43 of week 4, 42 rush yards, 16 receiving yards, 10 total touches, and only 39% snaps. It is not looking good for Derrick Henry, and he's been fumbling. I think eventually they'll ended up getting it right, getting the offense flowing and growing. But honestly, it's not looking good right now. And we got and you can tell us how to say this one, Kiko. Thank you for joining the pod. Thank you for joining the episode. I haven't seen your name before, so we're going to give you a welcome. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you like the vibes. He says, "Who would you start at wide receiver this week? Brian Thomas Jr. or Marv? And then who should start at flex? The other wide receiver or Woody Marks in PPR? Go Woody Marks in your flex. I
Yeah,
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 for
I
sure in
agree.
that.
People are scared of the Baltimore defense, but if you look at them in your little sleeper rankings, I believe they're like 32nd in defense. Their defense has been atrocious all year, and I don't see it getting better anytime soon. But I like the question. How would you go about this? Two guys that 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 are very highly
Mhm.
drafted and highly sought after receivers that both have seen struggles so far early on in 2025.
Well, the Jaguars have the Kansas City Chiefs, and then the Cardinals looks like they have the Tennessee Titans, who we would say are some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Basura!
Some shit. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know
So
Spanish.
I think with you, that's don't, and you're gonna put me on the spot, Kiko, just because of where Brian Thomas Jr. has been, what he's been producing this so far. I would probably lean towards Marvin Harrison Jr. just because of I think they're going to be trying to keep his confidence high and they're going to be trying to keep the targets going his way. So I would lean Marvin Harrison Jr. here. Brian Thomas Jr. right now is dealing with the Shane Waldron issue. And until Shane Waldron gets the hell up out of Jacksonville, this is just a type of production we have to unfortunately prepare ourselves for, and the reality of Waldron just sucks. Wherever he goes, the wide receiver one suffers. So I lean towards Marvin Harrison Jr., starting him at wide receiver, and then go Woody Marks as your flex, and that should do you well. Would you agree, Rocco?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna sit BTJ for now, until I can see some actual production out of him. I mean, the good thing is you saw them like making a concerted effort to get BTJ the ball in advantageous situations. They had him running some deep outs, where he can kind of use his speed and get him towards the outside where he can kind of protect, that wrist a little bit. But if they have to scheme him up like that, it just makes me nervous. And as much shit as I talk about Marv looked like he figured something out just a little bit at the end. I don't know if he figured out garbage time. Is that what he figured out? I don't know, but just that little spark that he showed at the end of the week gives me a little hope to start him this week against what could be the worst team, the worst offense, the worst defense in the entire league. They're playing the Titans, right? Yeah,
Yes, that is correct. Yep.
yeah. Start anybody who plays the Titans. That team has quit already, and it's a race between that guy, that coaching staff, and the Dolphins. But the Dolphins, um, coach might be a little bit more secure because he happened to win a game this past week. So he bought himself a little bit of grace. But yeah, that Titans team is the worst shit in the entire league. Even my Saints look better than that.
And then Crispy says Chubb is washed. He may get opportunities like a late career like Deontay Foreman or a Latavius Murray. I can see like a Latavius Murray type route for him. And those guys end up eventually washing out of the league. And like I said, Nick Chubb can eventually maybe he bounces back in week or in his second year from the injuries.
Mhm.
But
I
just
get,
in the reality of it could just be downhill from here. But it couldn't. Chubb is built from a different cloth. So he is one of those guys that puts in the work, puts in the effort to try to get back or get better. But
nobody's gonna work harder than him.
yeah, sometimes the body just gotta.
So and don't get me wrong, that guy's a absolute warrior, and if anybody could come back, he can. But it just it hadn't looked it hadn't looked real good lately.
Yeah, good move, Kiko. Kansas City has held wide receiver ones under 10 points. And honestly, like I said, with Waldron, they still haven't even got Travis Hunter correctly implemented in that offense. They don't know what they're doing, right? You don't take what you done in the year. You saw what Brian Thomas Jr. can do last year. So run those routes that he is comfortable with, that he knows he can be successful with, add to a little bit to his game what you think you can, but almost like with AJ Brown and what's happening with the Philadelphia Eagles and their stupid ass route concepts. It's not that AJ Brown's forgot how to play football. The route concepts his coaches are throwing them on are effing stupid. So those are the things you have to deal with as a wide receiver. And it's unfortunate. But before we head to the Chris Duval, but before we head to the tight ends, we're going to do tight ends and then we're going to do the wide receivers. Remember that this episode is brought to you by Fast Draft, the fastest best ball platform out there where you can do all the drafting that you want, whether it's checking and see what your portfolio is made out of or seeing how well you're doing against the community. I have done, I think, 6 or 7 different drafts, and I'm holding pretty good tight when they're trying to put cash money in your pocket, 250,000 to be exact. And if you use R2 promo codes fourth, they will double your first deposit up to $50. I repeat, either one of those promo codes, they will double your first deposit up
Yep.
to $50.
Use one of those codes I'm fingering.
Right there. And then
Well,
just a quick shout
that's
out
nice.
to our boys at League Champ and Addy and Chev and the rest of the good folk over there. We want to do a great promotion of League Champ, the fantasy ranks. I've actually, and me and Rocco this past week did our first rankings. And if you end up finishing number 1 for the week in the contest, you could end up winning a NFL jersey. I repeat, a free NFL jersey if you finish number 1 in the rankings. Go ahead to your local app store, whether you have App Store or I believe was it Google Play Store. If you have Android, go ahead, download League Champ, come in, do your rankings, and see if you can outrank us. At my first time, my first go, I got about a 76% accuracy. Now I felt pretty good. Now I'm on people's asses this week. You okay? I understand the playbook now. All right.
Yeah, did you understand that you was behind me?
You were were you?
Yeah, I was number 4. I was week 4 with the championship trophy.
Okay. I
I'm
gotta
gonna get. I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get Addy though. Addy's running out of space in his closet.
yeah what
All these free jerseys.
yeah, I got to do better because with the ones this week, I was just trying to set sound to get used to get to the app. And now I got to be more intricate at how I do my ranking. So I'm super prepared this week. But yeah, go into the app store, check out League Champ Fantasy Ranks, sign up, and have yourself some fun. We're all in there doing our rankings, trying to get right, trying to win a free jersey, if you will. Yeah,
Whew. I
let's
got
look
some
at
losers for you.
and let's finish out these losers, then head to the tight ends.
Your boy is a big loser. DeAndre Swift, 2.7 yards of carries, kind of having a trend. 3.1. He had a good week against Detroit. That was cool. 5.3, but 2.5 against Dallas. Dallas at 2.7 against Las Vegas. Not exactly the
Well, I would say like
most
Dallas.
strongest defenses,
You,
but
you won't if it can't emphasize Dallas too much because we actually been a good running team. It's just passing we suck this year. We can
okay,
never get
I
it
give
right.
him a little. I give him a little grace, but still, 2.5 yards a carry. That's a bad number against any defense. So, in his totals, he hasn't gone over 63 yards all season. 3.3 on the year. Only 7 missed forced tackles. If it wasn't for his pass game utilization, he would be he would be a non-factor. He would be basically on the waiver wire, and he has really low elusive ratings. It just hasn't been good for him, and part of me wonders if it might be time to go to a Kyle Monangai because I think the team's offense is a lot better than people thought it would be to start the season. Caleb Williams has played really well. Romo Dunze has played really well. Most of the offense has played good, but if you got DeAndre Swift who can't get more than 2 yards of carry back there, they're going to have to do something different. And this is what I was kind of worried about in the offseason and what Angelo talked to us about as well. He's a sports car, but he can't he has no vision. He looks great getting off the bus, but the job of doing running back things and creating space and finding holes, he's just never been good at. So part of me wonders if Kyle Monangai might get in there sooner than later. And I just acquired a Swift, and I'm kicking myself in the ass about it. Um, he needs to do better. Bottom line, it does not play well to start the season, and for a team that's on the rise, you know he can be a big holdback. The other guy who nobody thought would be having a down season so far this year, but who is and who had a terrible week. Um, None other than Saquon Barkley. He has not played well to start the season. 2.2 yards per carry last week. Against the Bucks, and I know they got Vita Vea back there, who's a great guy in the middle, but we're talking about Saquon Barkley. Um, but he just hasn't had a good year, and part of me wonders, 475 touches in 2024. I wonder if he's feeling the effect, of that much usage. And a lot of guys, they don't play well after 2,000-yard seasons. So it's natural to expect the guy to have some fallback, but 2.3 yards per carry, 3.1 yards on the season. And he's getting touches. He's weekly, he's getting 18, 22, 18, 19, 19 touches. So it's not like they're holding him back that much, but just to see him come out as slow as he has, he's basically being saved by TDs. It's kind of concerning for a guy that a lot of people, especially in redraft, a lot of people picked that guy at 1.1, and that is not what they expected.
And what Crispy pointed out here, and we'll go a little bit more into, but we can talk about the running backs real quick. The injuries around like Bucky and Benson. Benson, and to be more specific, Trey Benson for the Arizona Cardinals was placed on IR, which sucks because they literally just lost James Conner for the season. If you have Dan Ricardo or Michael Carter on your waivers, go sign them. Go get them on your team. They're probably not
Yeah,
going to do much, but
no,
at this point, they're going to
no
get
that
touches because they
that
don't have
offense
anybody.
going into the tank, but they are playing the Titans, so
Throw them in there.
100 yard Michael Carter game. Let's
Throw them
go.
in there. Bucky Irvin for Tampa Bay was as to be determined. To be honest with you, it's with his foot. but he will probably likely miss week 5. We have to see about week 6. At this point, I feel like injuries are just starting to stack up. It's not
Sean
sexy.
Tucker.
Sean Tucker's season. It's Rashard White's season. If he held on, if you kept him on your taxi, it's time to bring him up. And then looking at some other running backs, I feel like that's most of the news. And a lot of guys are questionable. So
Th- Somebody told me I haven't looked it up. Let me look it up right now. Somebody told me that Josh Jacobs was hurt.
Josh Jacobs has a knee injury from the Dallas Cowboys game. So that is something.
Fuck,
So that is something to monitor. I don't. I think he still plays this week, but it did keep him out a little bit. He went back into the game where he was real questionable. So, but then he came back out. So we'll see. He does have he is banged up a little bit.
bro. It worries me. Like sometimes these questionable tags and these guys playing through stuff leads to bigger injuries. So I'm a little nervous. I'm a little
No,
nervous about some of these guys. Also, Chuba Hubbard is nursing a calf
yes,
injury,
Chuba,
and he's looking like he's on the negative side of questionable right now. So
which scares
might
me.
be Uncle Rico time.
He dealt with a calf injury last year that kept him out some games. Yes,
Oh
that
yeah,
is
good,
right.
good point.
Jacob
Good point.
has a
Good
bye.
point.
He's one, and that's another thing. This is the first week of buys that we're having to work around to go along with the injuries. Sucks. The main teams that are out right now are looking like the Packers, and then Drake London is also, or the Atlanta Falcons. Packers and Atlanta Falcons are out right now, and you're having to pivot. Sucks very much. Now, looking at the tight ends, which was a fun week as well. I didn't have Dallas Goddard as tight end one on my bingo card, but he did it,
True
and
scores.
he did it very efficiently. 4 targets, 4 catches, 37 receiving yards. So he does it. It wasn't like he was tearing up the field, but he also had 2 receiving touchdowns. Love
Motherfucker.
him. He was.
Fucking up my wide receivers.
I'm telling you, well, you would think where Jalen Hurts would be trying to get the ball to his wide receivers, Javante and AJ Brown. No, Goddard goes out to have a good type of week. Tight end 2, Tyler Warren, baby. Would love to see it. That's another victory lap. Y'all know I was very high on him. I was very on the he is going to be above Colston Loveland. Been happy to see it. He had 6 targets for 5 catches, 70 receiving yards against the Los Angeles Rams, which came in a loss. Tight end 3, Kyle Pitts versus the Commanders. 5 targets, 5 catches, 70 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Kyle Pitts doing his goddamn thing, man. And I feel like I might have got the wrong stats for Kyle Pitts potentially
I don't know.
doing
You
this.
sure Tyler Warren was number two? He only had 5 catches last week.
Yeah,
Your guy Jake Ferguson had 7 and a touchdown.
no, it was.
Andrews had 7 catches. McBride had 7. Are we talking PPR? Half PPR?
We're talking PPR
Oh, maybe I missed the
and PPR
disregard.
in week
Disregard.
4.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, PPR in week 4. That Tyler Warren was tight end 2, Kyle Pitts tight end 3, Darren Waller tight end 4, bringing his old non-rapping ass to the top 5 against the New York Jets. 4 targets, 3 catches, and he didn't tear up the field, but he just went and snugged 2 tutties for your fantasy team. Some of y'all might have had him on the bench. Some of y'all might have cut his ass because you was tired of his shit. If you did cut him, go and try to get him back. Probably gonna cost you a premium now because people are sending out that fab money. But I think especially with Tyree Hill going out, they're going to need Darren Waller to step up. They're going to need him down that seam, and he's doing those post up routes. Him and Jalen Waddle, you throw in a little bit of Devin A Chain. Hopefully, Tua doesn't get a concussion throughout that time. Maybe they can, ride this thing out. But that's another thing with Mike McDaniels. It just might be his time to go out. Jake Ferguson. If y'all didn't know about Jake Ferguson in 2025, and I was one of the main people who told you that he would be in that top 10, top 5 area for tight ends. Jake Ferguson is currently through 4 weeks, tight end one. If you didn't know, he had 7 targets, 7 catches, 40 receiving yards against Green Bay to go with 1 receiving touchdown. I will continue to start Jake Ferguson, especially while CD Lamb is out. He's looking like he could return for week 7. So let's see what him and Dak can keep cooking up. I would like to see a little bit more from Jake just on the yak side to get a little bit more yards so he's not just catching the ball and then falling down. But tight end one of 2025 so far, Jake Ferguson. If you had that on your bingo card like I did, you are a smart man.
Yeah, he's got every other year Dak and a Pickens in not a Pickens, a CD Lamb injury um, helping him out. So hopefully he can get some return some yak and really and really explode. But Dak loves his tight end, so that was a good sleeper by you. Yeah, so I think Ferguson. Um, I don't know what I was talking about, but I think
Yeah,
Darren Waller is the big winner this week.
big
He
winner, big
went
winner, big
from
winner.
he went from off of the couch to 2 touchdowns, and you can make a case that he's going to be this year's Jonnu Smith, and I might believe you um, because the fact that he just came off of the street and scored 2 touchdowns, and maybe that's the last 2 touchdowns he scores all year. But it looked like they had a specific role, and it looked like they were very confident with letting Jonnu Smith just walk off the team and onto Pittsburgh, where he's done nothing. His career is over there because Arthur Smith, fuck him.
Arthur Smith.
But yeah, seeing Waller just walk right into that tight end room and score 2 touchdowns, that had to be exciting for people that got him off of waivers because I saw some downright irresponsible waiver claims for him in the offseason. I seen people blow 100% of their fab,
Yeah, this wasn't doing that.
in
Wasn't doing
when
that.
he announced that he was signing with the Miami Dolphins, a few months back. So to see him actually perform, that was pretty cool. I mean, he looked like he hasn't lost much in his couple years off. So if he's still on waivers, you know what you got to do, get him. But I think he was the. I think there's no way he can't be your big winner of the week.
Yeah.
The other guy that I liked, and it's because of injury. Um, but if you squint really, really squint, use your really good squint powers. This guy almost looks like George Kittle out there, Jake Tongues or Tonjes or whatever you call him. He's just
Or
a
whatever the
big.
name is.
He
Yeah.
just looks. He's a big athlete. They figure out ways to get him open, and he's just rumbling and stumbling and going down the field. But he's a sneaky ad until George Kittle comes back because that team has nobody left.
Yeah.
We're talking about Pearsall's out, Jennings is out,
Purdy's out.
Purdy's out,
Yeah.
Kittle's been out.
Mm.
So right now it's Jake Tonjes, guys they signed from working at Walmart last week,
Jimmy
and,
D.
and CMC
Yeah.
being led by Mac Jones. So somebody has to catch the ball there, right? So he's a sneaky ad. I'm starting him where I got him in places, especially in tight end premium. So to me, he's a big winner because nobody knew who the fuck he was, a couple weeks ago. So he's a really big winner for me.
And then let's talk about these losers, because honestly,
La
we have to take a winner who we thought was an off-season winner, and now I had to throw him in the loser category because he hasn't been producing or involved, or I wouldn't even say involved in the offense because they're trying to get him the ball. It's just not.
I know who you're talking
It's just
about.
not going to what they wanted to be. And who am I talking about? Evan Ingram, come on down from the Denver Broncos versus the Cincinnati Bengals, who should have been a more of an easier team for him to pick on. He had 7 targets, so it wasn't like they only gave him 2 or 3. He had 4 catches to go with 29 receiving yards and 0 touchdowns. Honestly, at this point, they should try to take some of those targets and give them to Troy Franklin, right? And it seems like just overall, it's not working with Evan Ingram. And I don't know if it's the scheme. I don't know if it's just the overall gameplay. If it's maybe just he's not fully 100%. It just it just does not clicking with Bo. Every time Bo tries to go his way, it doesn't seem very organic, right? So Evan Ingram, I don't feel very highly on him for the rest of the season. Hopefully, these are just rust, and he's trying to get back into that game type of production where, like, even with Mark Andrews, he starts off slow throughout the season and then he starts picking it up mid and then late. Hopefully Evan Ingram and Bo Nix grow their chemistry for the rest of the year because it hasn't been working for them. Another loser that I have who doesn't do anything for their offense, especially with the amount of injuries that they have, you would hope that he would do more or see more or at least try to lessen the what's the word I'm looking for? Lessen the strain on the rest of the guys in the offense. K. Dotton, tight end 33, who went against the Philadelphia Eagles, had 4 targets, 3 catches, and guess how many of those 3 catches got him? 9 effing yards from K. Dotton.
Yeah,
Ass. Cheeks,
he's trash.
buttermilk buns. Ass. Get this man out of he that if the fact that he's even a starting tight end and those are the numbers that you're producing is horrible. Kate Otten and he had one really good week or 2 really good weeks, like a 3 week span of good production last year,
That was
and
your
it seemed
sell
like
window,
right. And after that, just
and
ass.
you blew it if you didn't sell him during that time span because he hasn't been shit since.
And then my last loser, tight end 52, Chig Aquanquo, who went against the Houston Texans, 3 targets, 1 catch, and 4 receiving yards. Ass. So some more again. Buttermilk buns. And once it's not on Chig, we have to blame Callahan. It's not on Ward. We have to blame Callahan.
It's a
And
low on Ward.
it's a little, it's a little. I
I
don't want
mean,
to blame Ward.
he's the quarterback.
Yes, but I don't want to blame Ward too much because it's
But you
like,
know how the general media is like it falls on the coach and then it falls on the quarterback. Even though it's a 53-man roster, they get a lot of the blame for whatever happens. So the coach will be the first to fall on it, but the media will, be asking some pointy questions to Cam Ward too, because we expected something, anything out of this. I expected excitement, and we haven't gotten it yet.
and who would be your losers for the tight end group?
Big loser. Not only this week where he had 2 catches for 11 yards against the Detroit Lions and has consistently had terrible PFF grades uh, for most of the year, outside of a decent game against Green Bay last week, and who's basically gotten nuked by a bad offense and B a better tight end is David Njoku. I mean,
Yo.
we didn't think it could be this bad for David Njoku, but if you look at the actual numbers, he is averaging less than 5 targets a game and about 3.25 catches per game,
Mhm.
and that's just not going to get it done in any league. So and I know that offense is basically broken, but will it get better with Short King Dylan Gabriel back there? We don't really know. So until something changes with that offense, David Njoku looks like a massive bust so far this year. Between losing target share and role with the team, and the team just being absolute trash bag, burning garbage dumpster fire of a team. So offense, I should say, that the defense is good,
Yeah.
and that's the other problem is the defense is so good that they'll keep them in games, but they don't let scores get away from them, so they don't have to necessarily open up the offense. Even though I think Flacco is one of the league leaders in passing attempts, which doesn't really make too much sense to me. But I digress. But yeah, the Javen Njoku has been god awful, and he's basically lost his role. We'll see if anything changes with a new quarterback, but he's been a big loser through the first 4 games of the year.
Mhm. And then when we'll talk on these wide receivers. Then we can finish this show off. We spoke about some of the injuries, and then we can talk about maybe like three or four of these guys because it did hurt my soul to even write this out. Just for fantasy purposes, we're getting very, 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 very light in the rosters, y'all. These lineups, some of these, we're going to be having to go to Walmart at this point to put guys on our rosters because it's not looking good, man. It's when you're having to put most of your fab money on goddamn like a guy named Tungus or however you say that shit going crazy. Next, you know, you're going to have to go get Brock right. So no, I'm not. No, can't do it.
Oh, oh, oh no, you
It's about to drop me, isn't it? Maybe I'm still going. Am I still going? Hopefully, I'm still going. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But if I am, it might have just froze Marco. Maybe it didn't freeze me. If it, chat, let us know. Okay, got Rocco. It didn't get me off this motherfucker. Let's get it. I was about to get pissed. I was about to go snatch my shit right off the wall. I promise you. Rocco will be back, but we'll talk about the receivers. My winners, and I'm super glad to even bring this up because whoop whoop, shout out to you. Wide receiver one, and I had to shout out our guy Ben for this one because he was the number one guy that was in on it. Puka Nakua against the Colts finished with 15 targets, 13 catches, 170 receiving yards, and one touchdown. What? Like Puka Nakua has been going stupid, crazy, wild types of business. I didn't expect it to come out of this with, and then you have Devontae
back.
Adams on the other side doing his thing. Matthew Stafford, shout out to you for even being able to support these guys. Puka Nakua might break the NFL record for targets this year, how it's going, or they're just peppering the shit out of him. And then wide receiver two for the week, George Pickens himself. And I told y'all that it was going to be a big week for him with CD out. He had he had 11 targets, 8 catches, 134 receiving yards, and 2 tutties. One actually should have been the game winner, but our defense couldn't hold the Green Bay Packers off, and they let them drive down the field. Wide receiver three, Romeo Dobbs, 8 targets, 6 catches, nothing really big on the yards, 58 receiving yards, but he had 3 receiving touchdowns. Mr. Wide receiver one himself for Green Bay, who knows? We'll see. It seems like him and Jordan Love really have a good chemistry, and they have working for them. But honestly, week per week, you don't really know what wide receiver for the Packers is going to hit it off. So I wouldn't be the. That's not me saying Romeo Dobbs ain't good, but that's not me telling you to go buy Romeo Dobbs right now either.
He
He could
ain't good.
easily have like 2 catches next week.
I don't like him.
I don't like it. So he had a good week, and I'm not telling y'all to do it.
That's the last time he does anything like that. You're gonna spend all your fab, your waiver claim on him, and he ain't gonna do shit next week. You're gonna
I'm
drop
telling
him
you.
right back on his ass.
And then wide receiver five, DK Metcalf went absolutely stupid on not many targets versus the
That's all
Minnesota
first
Vikings.
half.
Yeah, it's true. He went 5 targets, 5 catches, 126 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. That boy hauled ass on that long one. And honestly, it was a good game. If nevertheless they were going against Carson Wentz, so we don't see it. We don't know if they were going against JJ McCarthy if they would have came on top. But DJ Metcalf is another guy that surprisingly has been outperforming some bigger guys that people had ranked ahead of him. Drake London returned back to the top 10 selection as wide receiver six with 10 targets, 8 catches, 110 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown against the Commanders. That's what we wanted. That's what we needed from Michael Penix to get Drake London the ball, and I felt like he could have even had a bigger game if they got him. There was a couple of throws that they missed. If those two throws that would have given him maybe like 125, 130 yards. Honestly, you should treat him like the Rams are treating Puka Nakua. Give that man 15 targets. There should be no reason why he gets under 8, and especially with Darnell Mooney hurt again. If you let me hear say it one more time. Okay, I got you. 1 second. Darnell Mooney is hurt again. Okay, go ahead and They need to go ahead and invest in a wide receiver too. If it's not Kyle Pitts stepping up, and then we are looking at once again, and shout out to our guy Jared because he's still the chairman of the QJ Quentin Johnson fan club, finishing wide receiver 7, 13 targets, 8 catches, 98 receiving yards, and 1 tutty. I don't know what's going on in LA, but it seems like Quentin Johnson is very much having a year 3 breakout. Lad McConkey looks like he's very much suffering on that end. And now that he would have made my losers list this week because I don't know what to project or want from Lad McConkey because it just seems like Hampton starting to find his role. QJ is having a year 3 breakout. Keenan Allen isn't going nowhere and still getting targets. And Keenan Allen plays a lot in the slot, which I think actually is affecting Lad a lot more this year. So he has to play more on the outside. Once Keenan Allen's out the window, out the way, I think Lad McConkey's back up. And honestly, this might be a great buy for you right now for Lad McConkey because some people are very, very, very low. I did a poll
I,
on our Twitter page. Who do you have higher, Lad McConkey or who did I say? Lad McConkey or
Mika Buka.
Mika Ibuka, and 76% of people said Mika Ibuka. I'm not ready to lean that heavy against Lad, but I understand why people would say that.
Yeah, I just sold Lad. The guy was coming like super hard at me for him. So you know, based on his actual production in 2025, if you look at it through that lens, it's a little bit of a overpay. But if you look at the big picture of what he did as a rookie, I probably got jobbed. And he can go off in the second half and make me feel real stupid about it. But for Lad McConkey, I got Luther Burden, Tyler Algier, who I like as a potential 2026 breakout on a different team. I think he's a good football player, and I got a early to mid second for him.
Yeah, so at this point, people are trying to get off him, and that's why he's actually Lad McConkey is one of my sells because he finished as wide receiver 99. I repeat, wide receiver fucking 99.
I got 99 problems.
And Lad
That's where
McConkey
Lad
is
McConkey's
21.
ranked.
Okay. He had four, he had 6 targets and 1 catch to go with 11 receiving yards. That's not sexy, Rocco. And that's why he's on my losers list. Guess who also returned to my losers list? And it's really not his fault, except for his quarterback, AJ Brown. Guess what wide receiver rank he was? Wide receiver 92 with 9 targets, 2 catches, and seven receiving yards. Jalen
That
Hurts, what
team's
we doing,
offense
baby?
is broke.
It's broken. The wide receiver, like the route concepts are not working. The game plan is not working. Saquon is not Saquon. The offensive line sometimes gets beat. Yes, Jalen Hurts is
Yeah.
still being Jalen Hurts because he still got the tush push, and it's hard to stop that in overall. But
I
it's
mean, don't get me wrong. That is like maybe on paper the most talented team in the entire league. I mean, they have stars everywhere. You could just take a look at their secondary with Cooper DeJean. And who's that other guy? Isn't he a Georgia grad?
you have Cooper DeJean, you have the guy Quentin,
Yeah,
and then you have the I'm
yeah.
forgetting his name, but
We
he
don't
is
do
from Georgia.
defense, but
He-
anyway,
He's from Georgia though.
he basically was shutting down Amika Ibuka outside of a long play that didn't come in his coverage. But yeah, I mean that team. I mean they have a great defensive line. They got great linebackers. They got a really good offensive line. They got two stud wide receivers. They got Saquon Barkley, and they got a quarterback with the most unstoppable move in the entire league. But something is broke about that team, and I think the way they're playing is going to catch up with them sooner than later against the right team. I mean, you cannot watch that team play week by week and say they're playing good. I mean, we talked about Saquon Barkley struggles. I mean, AJ Brown struggles are well known. Smitty hasn't done a whole lot. Besides, Jalen Hurts, who's propped up by rushing TDs and rushing yards, and Dallas Goddard. Nobody on the offense has been really sexy so far this year.
Yeah, agree with you. It's not been sexy. It hasn't been what you want out of a fantasy team. Where you thought it was going to be a high power offense, it hasn't been that. And maybe Kellen Moore might have been the missing piece, or maybe he wasn't. You never know. Ask any Philadelphia Eagles fan, they might say we've had so many different offensive coordinators in the last past year. What can you actually expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some other fast hits, I would say, from our losers. DJ Moore, 5 targets, 4 catches for 38 receiving yards against the Las Vegas Raiders. Honestly,
It's
I just
not
feel like
happening.
it's just up and down. He might have a big week. He might actually just have a majority of low weeks. This is how it's just going with the Chicago Bears. Jamar Chase, wide receiver 53 against the Denver Broncos, 8 targets, 5 catches, 23 receiving yards, and Jake Browning is his fucking starting quarterback. That's all you have to say about Jamar Chase. Still a stud, and you still hope that you get your production out of him, but Browning's not going to give you your max
Mm-hmm.
wide receiver one elite type production out of him, and also throws T Higgins under the bus too. I'm not very high on the Bengals wide receivers right now until they make a change at quarterback, and then sorry, I got to throw you on here, and also you made our injury list, but Tyreek Hill basically obliterated his knee, obliterated, turned the other way, torn ACL, multiple ligaments.
I told you he'd be a bust. No,
And against the New York Jets, he still finished as wide receiver 27. So for a man who tore his ACL and multiple ligaments, he still finished or had a better week than DJ Moore, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, and Lad McConkey. At what cost though? Because he is now at that ripe age of 30, hitting 30 plus. I think we've seen the last best version of Tyreek Hill. What do you say about that, Rocco?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't laughing at Tyreek Hill's injury. I was laughing at something else. But um, I picked him as a bust, but not this way. Not with an injury. And he was looking really good the last couple weeks. Before that devastating injury. So hope he gets better soon. It was kind of weird the way he went off the field. Smiling ear to
He said,
ear.
yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, yeah. They gave him all the drugs apparently on the sideline because to have an injury where his leg was completely turned around like the Exorcist and pointing the wrong way, for him to come off the field, happy like a kid at Christmas, you know, had to be some copious amount of drugs involved, and I don't blame him. That was a devastating injury and hard to look at, honestly. Like those injuries are just gruesome, and they're worse than any horror movie. They're just that's real life horror when somebody has a devastating injury like that, and it's kind of fucked up. I thought he was on the wrong track, in his career, but we want to see him, prove it or not prove it on the field, and to go out kind of sucks. But what I'll say for my winners this week is more of a theme base. You hit on a lot of the guys that I like. So I don't want to duplicate us there, but seeing some guy, we talk a lot about all of the injuries that have happened. That's happened, just in this past few days, honestly. But it was really good to see a couple guys come back onto the field and have some success. Jordan Addison, he wasn't very efficient, but he did finish with over 100 yards in his first game back, including a 80-yard uh, passing play where he got caught from behind. So
Slow as fuck.
sorry, my guy. You might want to run, do some laps around. Get your cardio, get your speed back up. because you definitely should have scored. But I digress. It was good to see you back out there and go for 100 yards, and I think that that'll help the offense as well to
Agreed.
have that other stud on the opposite side, so they can't just roll all the coverage to Justin Jefferson. And it was also good to see Xavier Worthy get back on the field. To see Patrick Mahomes, I said that he didn't have anybody, but I did forget that he did have Xavier Worthy back this week. 5 catches for 83 yards. Good grades all around on PFF. And, he was a big part that they were missing. So they're missing, a really good speed option, a threat to attack all quadrants of the field. So it was really good to see him get out there and make some plays. Um, and like I said, Patrick Mahomes is sneakily working his way up, and when he gets Rashee Rice back and he's got all of his guys out there, it could be fireworks. So that was cool to see him come back. Um, as far as the losers, I think you kind of hit on most of them. Uh, Jamar Chase. I mean, I think that's just the whole offensive type of situation there. Um, yeah, he was pretty bad. Uh, Jamison Williams is not breaking out like we thought he did, and that question of Jamison Williams or George Pickens is being answered pretty loudly right now. Because Jamison Williams, he just doesn't command targets. I mean, he got 7 targets this week, but only 2 catches for 40 yards. So that's not a breakout to me. That's never going to be a breakout. But that's kind of the two of the guys that I saw that struggled.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's at this point of the year, you don't want to see those kind of games.
And to end off the episode, we can do some quick hits of injuries going into week 5. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson has a hamstring injury. He is doubtful, looking at 2 to 3 weeks out. And honestly, if we keep getting these QB injuries, I don't know what's going to happen. Cleveland wide receiver Cedric Tillman, hamstring, placed on IR. He will at least miss 4 games. New York Jets running back Braylon Allen at MCL was placed on IR. He will miss the next at least 4 games, but 4 to 6 week injury. We spoke about Arizona running back Trey Benson, knee placed on IR. We have Tampa Bay running back Bucky Irving, foot likely out week 5. As we spoke on, San Francisco's quarterback and wide receivers Purdy, Jennings, and Pierce Saul are all out. JJ McCarthy is making strides on his high ankle. He could return back to practice this week. Probably won't play this week, but I would look for in week 6 him getting back. The news that broke all of us: New York Giants Malik Neighbors season-ending knee ACL done, and then Jaden Daniels is looking like he will return week 5 for the Commanders. And to end the show off on one comment from Bronson. And sorry if I didn't say your first name right. Thank you for joining Fourth and Fantasy, my guy. Like, share, and subscribe. Trade DJ Moore and cut for Keenan Allen. That is redraft. I was gonna say dynasty. That sounds kind of crazy, but redraft. I mean, Cup really isn't doing anything. No, I guess like if what's now I got now you're about to make me look at where is Keenan Allen right now,
Give me,
and
give me, give me Keenan Allen. I mean, Cup's droppable in redraft, and DJ Moore hasn't done shit until he gets traded. I'm taking Keenan Allen. As sickening as that sounds for a guy that had basically 1 foot out the league, he's fucking lapping both of those guys in fantasy points.
not good things are happening at the moment. So redraft found my redraft league. If we're looking at players and who are we talking about? We're talking about wide receivers,
Cooper, Cup, and DJ Moore.
and so right now Cup is wide receiver 56. Makes you want to throw up. All right. And redraft. DJ Moore is wide receiver 40. Kind of makes you want to throw up to go get Keenan Allen.
I bet Keenan Allen's the top 15 wide receiver
I say Keenan Allen.
without looking.
I give him a top 25. Keenan Allen is damn. You're good. Keenan Allen is wide receiver 9 right now. Go ahead and do it and redraft. Go ahead and do it.
You
Do it.
didn't even have to do all that. I told you it was Keenan Allen. Both of
Yeah.
them dudes is playing trash. Cup should have retired last year.
Go do it,
And DJ
Bronson.
Moore needs to get fucking traded. So that's a great trade for you.
Go ahead and
Bronson
do that.
Ayo. Hi,
Yeah, Bronson Hayo. Once again, thank you for
like it.
joining the episode and like, share, and subscribe. And to everyone that joined us tonight, you can catch us again this Sunday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Right, Rock? Are we good?
Mm,
Or 8 o'clock?
no, it's gonna be real early. I need to be at the Superdome for 9 o'clock my time.
All
So I
right, then
need
we're
at
going.
least a half hour to get there.
So then we're going 8 o'clock, 7:30.
Yeah, yeah, probably 8 o'clock.
Yeah, okay, but then we're going at 8 o'clock a.m. Sunday. Eastern time. So you can come over to our the morning show or the morning rush show where we do your starting sit questions. We answer all those and we try to look at some key matchups. If we get in the chat and we get crazy with the starting sets, the whole show will be starting sets. That's really up to y'all. So thank you as always for joining Fourth in Fantasy. This was episode 78. This episode is brought to you by Fast Draft, the fastest best ball platform out there, where they're trying to put cash money in your pocket over $250,000 by using our promo codes fourth or fourth. They will double your first deposit up to $50. I repeat, your first deposit up to $50 when using our fourth or fourth promo codes. And one last shout out to our guys at League Champ. Go over to your app store, download League Champ Fantasy Ranks, get into the game where you can create your own rankings and potentially, if you finish as the number one rankings of the week, you can get a free NFL jersey in your closet. Addy said he's tired of winning these things because he's been killing it. He wants you to come in and take his crown away from him. And like I said, you can win a free NFL jersey every week if you finish at the top. That has been our show. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We got more in store. The season is still here, a quarter along the way, but we still got more content coming your way. I am Honcho, and this is my guy.
Siriaco, call me Rocco.
And we're your fantasy playbook to more championship wins. And we're the land of the what, Rocco?
We are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos. Bye, Dynasty Sickos. Let's get ready for week 5.
Let's get to it. Week 5, baby. If we're no matter where you're sitting at, 1-3, 2-2, 0-4, 0-4, you're fucked, buddy. But 1-3, there's still time to
Rebuild.
turn around. There's still time to come back. Honestly, I feel like the second half of the season is really where you're gonna see what you're made of. First half sucked, injuries. Now we're dealing with bye weeks. But let your guys get rest up. You're gonna have these bye weeks that come into that basically like a mini break for these guys and try to ice up, son, as in the words of Steve Smith. Y'all have an absolutely wonderful night, wonderful day, however you're viewing us, how you view us.